Okay, my friends, this is a bit of a circuitous journey. Now, I discovered fossils, and I could see in the fossils these layers that nobody's ever been talking about. And they were basically in the fascia. Now, and then I started to look into the pleura on the lungs, and then it actually developed into this interstitium, which they call a newfound organ. In 2018, they published this paper saying it's a newfound organ. It covers all of the tissues in the body, and it's one big system, which I agree with that. I have a paper from 2015, basically the same thing. Now, so anyway, now that we know there's interstitium, a fluid-filled highway, I started working the deal with it, and it's a system. It's one gigantic system. And I knew this long ago, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what's that fluid floating around there for? What's going on with that? Well, it ends up being that bacteria and enzymes live in that layer, and they are the catalysts, the enzymes, and the bacteria just go flying through there with their little flagellas in the fluid-filled highway, carrying things around, moving wastes around, delivering enzymes and all that stuff. And that's been shown in these new ways of looking at the actual body as it's working, and they can see it going around gobbling up all the stuff and right out into the fluid-filled highway. Now, so that led me to the bacteria and the enzymes. Now, that led me to the fact that the enzymes create only certain specific chemistry. I mean, very specific. Now, then I started to think, if this is a fluid-filled highway and all the organs are connected to this fluid-filled highway, can you just go anywhere in there? It's all going to be the same? Is all the fluids going to be the same? I say no. And because your stomach is coated with this fluid-filled highway that protects your stomach and protects your body from your stomach. Your stomach is saturated with acids. Well, this fluid-filled highway has to somehow keep the acids inside and the rest of your body outside. So there's going to be some specific chemistry there. It's not going to be the same chemistry as your eyeballs. And there's going to be membranes around them. It's not going to be the same chemistry as your nervous system, as your lungs, as your pancreas, as your gallbladder. That's why there's 200, or well, I think there's 400 now, types of cancers. And all they are is an invasion through the membrane. It goes right through that membrane into the good tissue. It's an invasive disease. And almost all diseases are invasive. And I think now I'm starting to worry, well, not worried, but I'm just starting to think that it's the loose junctions and the tight junctions that are allowing things to penetrate there. They're not supposed to. That is a membrane. That's a layer. That's a no zone. You can't come through here. Don't try to come through here. I have enzymes, I have bacteria, I got all kinds of things. And I have a big system going on here. And you got one or two little bacteria going to come into me? No. We're going to kill you. And that's what happens if you have the good bacteria and a good chemistry and a good enzymes. So that's what's living in that layer. So that's where I'm getting to now. And there has to be something that divides that chemistry. So your stomach is attached to a muscle or a tendon or whatever it's attached to. You can't have the same chemistry as the muscle chemistry and the same tissue that surrounds your muscles as surrounds your stomach. It's not going to work. So what happens? I found this little piece that interfaces between parts of the body and other parts of the body. I call it a spurlock. And it latches, and I'm going to show them to you right now in the microscope. And I found there's two little holes in each one of them that allow the fluids to go through. And that latch is a completely separate piece of biology than the lung or the fascia or the pleura. It's totally different. And I'm beginning to think somehow that little piece has to divide the caustic chemistry from the other type of chemistry, so that that little latch may do more than just attach a piece of the body to another piece. It's allowing those fluids to filter through there. Does it have some kind of intelligence to know I can't let all these acids go through there because it's going to my heart or whatever? There's got to be some division of chemistry. So what I want to know is in autopsies and so forth, could we actually get the different types of bacteria that live in these different organs? Because they're in the fascia, fluid-filled highway, basically, in the lymph cells, where you're making these enzymes. There's a lymph area, the white blood cells and so forth. They're the ones that produce these enzymes and catalysts. And there's a little work to do here, but I think that little device has a part to play in the separation of these chemical elements. Now let me show you the device. This little latch with the two little, in and out. It's got to be an in and out, or maybe they just go in and don't come out. I don't know. It's a fluid-filled highway, so it goes through the whole. And I wrote this. Well, let me show you something. This is from 2018, and that's a paper announcing that they've discovered this particular thing. Now, I wrote basically the same thing in 2015. All right, see, here's what it says right here. Scientists discovered the new organ, which consists of a fluid-filled spaces in the body's connective tissue. It's all through the entire body. And a connective tissue means that one piece connects to another piece, and it completely surrounds and coats everything. This is a lung. This is how I got involved in this, because this is a Mudfossil lung. And that is that interstitium layer. There's going to be spots right in here, that little latch is what connects this to the rest of the body and delivers those interstitial fluids to the other, wherever it attaches to. Okay, this is the piece of meat that I have here. It's a rock, but this is the latch, and it's just absolutely flawlessly preserved. Now that latch is the piece that transfers the interstitial fluids right here into the next organ or wherever it was. So this has to have its own type of interstitial fluids, which protect it from, let's say, just whatever this meat has to be protected by. But then you have acids in the stomach, and you have salts in your liver, your kidneys, and you have heavy metals in your liver, and all of those different things have to be protected by different chemistry. That's why you have different cancers, because they're invading different layers of membranes which have their own chemistry, and they're missing something to protect them in that layer. This is what the bacterial database is all about. Anyway, that's the latch. And every organ and every part of your body has one of those where it invests itself into another part of your body. And that's, I call it the spur lock. And we're looking at it right now in the microscope, okay? Now here it is going to be up here, and I'll show you those transfer points. And there's something very interesting to speak about, because I know I mentioned that in my last paper, that they could very well correspond to the acupuncture points of old. Now let me get focused in on this. Now I'm going to show you, this is nothing like the rest of the fascia. It's totally different piece. It starts right there and comes forward. Now I'm going to move it forward. As it comes forward, this is the tip that latches in. These are the two spots, those two little spots right there, are where the interstitium fluids flow to the next interstitium bag, whatever it happens to be, around your lung or your organ, whatever it is. This is meat. This is basically just a big chunk of red flesh. And out of that comes that latch. And out of the latch, it has to put its fluids into the next piece of interstitium that it's attached to, because it is one gigantic system. It's a huge gigantic system, and it's all plastic, basically, like fabric, elastins. And then there's a layer in between that the bacteria and enzymes float around in, and they're the protectors of your body. But bacteria are the producers of enzymes. You don't have the bacteria, you don't have the enzymes. You don't have the enzymes, you don't have the chemistry. The chemistry resides in here. That's why you may get cancer in this tissue right here, and it isn't nowhere else in your body, because this one here has a special bacteria. It's just not there anymore. That's what this database is all about. We have to know what bacteria resides in a person's body before we can make any determination at all, as far as I'm concerned. Fascia now is the most important thing there is. Literally, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's your immune system. All right, this is from my paper back in 2015, and this is the thing that got me, and I just could never really, it was just sort of something in the background that ate away at me, and I had to figure it out. I got it down here that fascia separates every cell and structure from its neighbors in life and in death. That's what created my mud fossils to be separate. The fascia separated every cell from life and death. Fascia protects every bit of you from invasion. It protects you from being invaded, including a complete fabric bag that is your skin. This is what's supposed to keep you from getting invaded. You get cuts, they can get invaded. Your skin is not just one fabric either. You have tough skin, you have fine skin, you have thin skin. Now all fascia, this is the key, listen to this carefully. All fascia is made of collagens and keragens. Those are the fabrics that create fibers and elastins in sheets that wrap around everything individually. So what's inside of that sheet, which the sheet is the membrane. All right, so everything that wraps around everything individually and then comes together as one giant system. That is the fluid-filled highway. Now here's the key. There's over 20 types of each collagen and keratin. These are the fabrics. These are the gooey substances. These are the things that create your tight and loose junctions. These are the things that create your membranes, your bilipid membranes. All right, so they're all made of collagens and keragens. All right, 20 different types of each. Some protect from acids, others from caustics, others from mineralized for strength. The variety is amazing. The fibers are infused with silicon. Now, this, I'm thinking it's just one gigantic system. Yeah, that's fine. But what about the areas that are just saturated with acids, and what areas are saturated with salty stuff? You can't run that same fluid-filled highway through both of those. It's just not going to work. One of them's going to cause damage to the other one, I would think. This is just speculation at this point because nobody understands this at all at this point. They just didn't even know about the interstitium until they made the paper in 2018 and said, yeah, Roger was right. All right, this is another little lung that I have here. And this is the two spots right here in that lung. And this is, you can see, it's 100% different. It's nothing like the rest of the lung. Now, this is a very small lung from some kind of creature, I don't know what. And all of these are the alveoli. All of the outside stuff has eroded away and left these alveoli. And those alveoli have filled up with different colored silicates. All right, because the blood has got all these different transition metals, and they make a bunch of different colors. But this is the most important part to look at, is this right here. Here's the latch. Now looking at it from the back, come on, there you go, there we go. It just locks right in here, and then it comes out this way, and then there's the two spots where it transfers its fluids. So the two spots. Anyway, it's no question it's a different body part. All right, this is going to be pretty shaky because I'm going to do it by hand. All right, but there's our two little bumps down there, those two little entrance and exits. I believe it's an entrance and an exit of the interstitial fluid. Now we come all the way up that latch till we hit the back, and here's the back right there. That back right there separates this piece from the rest of the fascia, and the rest of the fascia is back here. You see that border? This is completely, totally different, 100% different from everything else. Everything else is fascia. This is not. And it comes out all the way out here to make that little latch, which is right there. And it brings along with it the fluids, which come right out those two little holes at the bottom. And that's on every, they say it attaches to every organ in your body, your tendons, your muscles, every organ. And that's how the fluid flows through there. And I think now, I'm starting to think this is some kind of an intelligent little device that says if somehow it regulates what's going in and coming out. That's the only thing I can take off from this point. And I believe these are acupuncture points where they put needles down in there. They may get obstructed with something. I don't know. Maybe they get plugged up. I don't know. Okay, this whole thing basically was about this little flap, and is it a new organ? However, it also, I believe, controls the chemistry somehow. It's just another piece of the puzzle, and I don't know exactly how it does it, but here's what happens with cancer. Every single tissue in your body has a different type of a membrane. So your muscles are going to have the same type of membrane in this arm, as in this arm, as your leg, so forth. They're going to have the same chemistry. So if your muscle chemistry membrane is good, your muscles should be okay. And the same thing with your blood. Your blood cells have membranes. They have membranes just like that. And if your blood cells have good membranes, you don't get blood cancer. If they have bad membranes, then this is what happens. And the tumors go right through the membrane because it's got a loose junction or it's somehow penetrable, drip right through, and you got cancer. First it's stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4. And maybe those enzymes can fight back a little bit, but you have to have a strong response to this invasion, otherwise you get cancer. Like 400 different cancers. So obviously, they're all different chemistry, and they're all different types, like pancreas and prostate and mammary glands and it's lung cancer. I mean, they're all what they consider different types of cancers. I consider them different types of failures of membranes. So what protects a membrane, I say it's bacteria and enzymes. That's where we have to put our focus on right now, is to get a bacterial database of what bacteria are in people's bodies. When they're checking them now for different cancers, they say, well, these people have radically different microbiomes than these people over here. These people were sick, these people weren't.
Roger?
All right, this could get a little involved, so I'm not going to go too deep, but these are cell junctions. Every cell has to touch another cell, and they have to work together, but they have to be able to be separated. So there's tight junctions, there's adherent junctions, there's all these different junctions, how different cells attach to each other, and what they let penetrate or not penetrate, how much they can move, and all that business. And then there's cellular junctions, cell to cell, and cell matrix junctions. You don't have to know anything about that. All you have to know is that there's different junctions, and they require this, which is different slurpees. Whoops. All right, these are the slurpees, SLRPs. Small, leucine-rich protoglycans. Well, what is that? It's just slime, it's just goo, it's just rubbery, like super glue, only it's movable and stretchable, and some can go this way and that way, and some can't move hardly at all. All right, so they're biologically active components of the extracellular matrix. That means they're the glue that glues the cells together. They're outside, they're extracellular, they glue things together. And they're structurally characterized by a central protein core made up of leucine-rich repeats flanked by cysteine clusters substituted with covalently linked glycosylation side chains. Well, who didn't know that? Well, think of it this way. These things are together like this, but they have to be able to move. So they actually have glue between them, and the glue is like this. And the glue can move and do this way and that way and everything, but it's not going to open up and get holes through it. You get holes through your glue, you're in trouble. That's the way I'm seeing it. So I think this is extremely important. These extracellular matrix and the junctions. And the only thing that makes this stuff is enzymes. The only thing that makes the enzymes is the bacteria. So I'm starting to think that this could be the source of compromised immune systems. Oh, they can every time they get around something, they just get sick. Well, why? Something's always trying to invade you, and if it finds a hole, you're in trouble. And I think the junctions that are, they've been talking about leaky gut. Well, there's more than leaky gut. Every single cell in your body is attached to something else. So anyway, that's another story. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up pretty quick here. That's the interstitium, that's the fluid-filled highway. And I say that is your immune system. And I look and they see the researchers are saying, well, now we think we figured out how cancer travels. No, the cancer doesn't necessarily travel. Your loose junctions are going to be loose in every single area that has that exact same chemistry. And they're going to be invadable. It's not like it goes from here and jumps over to there and causes cancer. You're going to get cancer everywhere in your lymph nodes. Like melanoma causes cancer in lymph nodes because there's no bacteria in there anywhere in your system to cover those lymph nodes. That's my understanding now, based on the bacteria, the enzymes, and the sequestration of that particular chemistry to protect that particular organ. Lung cancer, somehow you're getting invaded through those tight junctions. You're supposed to have very tight junctions in your lung. You're inhaling all kinds of stuff you certainly don't want in your body. If you have loose junctions, zip, right in. That's called pre-existing conditions. When you don't have the right goo coating your membranes, goes right through. And that's what this does, is it stops it. You have to have the correct matrix of goo, literally goo. It's called small leucine-rich proteins. I call them Slurpees. SLRP. Small leucine-rich protein, and they splatter all over the place. So now your membrane can do this, it can do that, it can remove in here and do all that kind of things. But it never opens up, so nothing can get through. That's what's, I believe that's a big factor now, is the loose junctions. So this is what I want to introduce now, that the interstitium is much more important than just a fluid-filled highway that they just found and it means nothing. No, it's much more than that. And again, the little latches that come through. And here's some lungs right here. Here's three. They preserve in every different manner. This one is a lung. That's a lung, a Mudfossil lung, and every bit of it is gone except the matrix that was the supporting foundation. Blood's gone, pleura's gone, everything's gone. This one's a little tiny lung. There's the spurlock right there. That's that little latch, same latch, and that's a lung. That's where the entry was for the lung here. And that's that latch. And now this, just the pleura went, and we're down into the actual alveoli. So every one of those is a little alveoli. And that's all that was left was a spurlock. And it's absolutely 100% different than any other tissue that's in the lung. Here's one that half the pleura came off, and the rest stayed on. Right down that seam, the pleura came right off, you see? And they're flat because this was in a great flood. There was a hot water great flood, and it caused the pleura to erode off of there and all the body tissue to come away. This one is complete, just like you could transplant this thing almost. It's just perfect. There's the little latch on this one. It's just all gnarly looking, but that's the same one. This again, flat as a pancake because of a great flood. That's how these things were preserved. I didn't make the rules here. I didn't cause this. This is something that happened, and I'm an investigator, and I investigate. This is a bone, and that bone has still like a cartilage. Inside there is the marrow, and there's still a little tiny bit of bone right there. I've shown it hundreds of times in the microscope. All right. right? And this has fascia all over it. It's what they call it, used to call it tunica. It's a surrounded membrane. And this right here, you see that? You see that cut right there? And that right there, you may not be able to see that. That's how it wraps right around like a little crescent roll. They have those little angles and they wrap right around and they attach and they seam right up on those seams. And that's what this tunica is. It's a wrapping, a surrounding membrane that surrounds everything. Everything is surrounded by the membrane. They realize this now. This is all brand new. Yeah, well, now we've all figured it out. Well, I want to see if this can be recognized as a new organ, just the way they recognize the interstitium, the fluid-filled highway there. So anyway, that's my request. I want all doctors, biologists, anatomists, anybody that's in the scientific realm to comment on this, because, you know, you put this information out and it's just dead silence. So let's see if anybody will comment. I sent this out literally to people around the world who are, I know they're very, very sophisticated at this. They understand this, and they're people that are in the fascia realm. Fascia is something nobody ever even considered was anything. When I first started at this, the first guy I contacted was Gil. Now, I'm not going to use his last name, but he's an autopsy anatomist. I said, well, what's the story with this fuzzy, you know, this layer that I was talking about? And he said, well, it's just fuzz. And I said, what do you mean fuzz? He says, yeah, they call it fuzz. It's just a packing material. I said, no, something's not right there. And he helped me. He was very, very gracious. And we still communicate. Basically, I just sent him an email today, and he's copied it on this. I'd like to have his statements on this. He's doing a national tour of giving speeches everywhere, all whole country, everywhere, all states in the country. And he's doing it right now, about fascia and about nerves and about the interconnectivity of the body and how everything works. He's very, very skilled. And he was very, very gracious, very, very nice to talk to. And I have people that I had worked with in Germany, not so much recently, but they have a fascia institute over there. They study this stuff. And they were also very gracious and very forthcoming, very nice to speak with. And I gave them my information. They gave me back their information. But mostly they were dealing with injuries, where something gets ripped apart, like this here. Hold on. You see this? That latch is the same as this. Now, they focus in on this stuff, the injuries. I focus in on this, the flap, the latch. All right, but this is just nothing more than some muscle bundle that's got pulled out or something. So, but it's nothing more than this. And right down the middle, you see right there, I believe this is where the fluids are running right out of here, somewhere down here into, maybe these are the two, I don't know. But I'd like to see Gil take a look. He's in and out of these things all the time. Maybe he can make heads or tails of it. But I'd like to work with somebody about this stuff because I have more information than most. I see things when they were alive in absolute stunning detail. I mean stunning detail. That can be studied very easily, and there's no, ethical issues or whatsoever. I'm just looking at rocks that were alive at one time. All right, I love you all. I want to see where this leads because we got to get this out in the open. It's got to be understood. It's got to be understood. Mudfossil is very, very real, and it's very, very upsetting to academic people that sort of dominate your thought processes. This is very disruptive to them. I understand that, but truth is truth. All right, I still love y'all. All right, here they are, right, really up close. There is different chemistry here. You see how that one's white all around it, and this one's got a different color to it. Your blood, have your red blood and you have your blue blood. In mud fossils, it's red and black. Black is a vein. Now, there's some kind of different chemistry from there to there. So I would say it must have a fluid-filled highway going out and coming back. That's what my take is now. In other words, it's not just anything can go anywhere it wants. I think one of them lets it get from there into the next organ, and one of them lets it get back out into the system to get cleaned up or whatever. And I think the organs control their own special chemistry. They have to be different. Look at this. This is red blood. This is red, bloody tissue from a muscle. That's not going to be the same as your intestines or your stomach or any of that stuff. Those coatings, those membranes are going to be totally different. They're going to have totally different chemistry. And I believe these, one of them goes in, one of them's coming back. That's the best I can do with this. But I do believe this is a new organ system. I believe that is a new organ that has never been known before. Now let me show you back coming this way into this. And then I have other lungs here to show you that is 100%, no question whatsoever, that is not the same tissue as the rest of anything here.